I am Katy. I'm super excited to be here. I am the founder of Team Exponent. I'm also an engineering PM over at Google. My background is in computer science, so I am a developer by trade, but I guarantee you, I take showers, Alex. I take showers every day. So we're not all the same. So I'm actually not here on behalf of Google today. I'm here to talk to you about some of the things we're doing over at Team Exponent, where we build high impact teams for 10x moonshots or 10x solutions. All right, what's a 10x solution? Who here has an idea? What might be a 10x project? Just shout it out. What do you think is a 10x? What's that? Hyperloop. Yeah, that's a great example. Tesla. What else? Anybody else? What's that?
Self-driving cars.
Self-driving cars. Yeah, there's a theme going on here. There's sort of big, impactful stuff, right? So we actually think about 10x as the exponential function. F of x equals 10 to the x. That means that at some point you experience exponential growth, right? And so here our y value, our y-axis is value, impact to society. And our x-axis is complexity, whether that's technical complexity or complexity in implementation. And so when you're pursuing a 10x project, at some point you're going to achieve exponential growth in value and impact to society, okay? So on the bottom left, around 0, think of a paper airplane. Very, not complex, right? And very low impact, very low impact. On the top right, where our 10x lies, think about those rocket to Mars, the hyperloops, etc. And somewhere around here on the mid to upper left, we see a lot of apps. So think about Uber, for instance, right? There's a lot of value in getting transportation that easily, but it's not very complex to build that system. In fact, what happens in that space where there's a lot of value, or a lot of potential value, very low complexity? What do we see there? Competition, bingo. A lot of competition. That's why there's Uber, and then there's Lyft, and Get, and My Taxi, and friggin' Juno, and Via. There's all kinds of stuff popping up all the time. Intense competition. What do you see in the top right, where there's high complexity but high value? Very low competition, actually. Very low competition. So we talked a little bit about Hyperloop. Can you think about any other kinds of projects that might fit in that spectrum of a 10x? Virgin Galactica, yeah, taking civilians up on trips. So Tesla is actually a really interesting example because the all-electric motor is technically less complex than the standard ICE engines that are out on the road today. But the complexity comes in implementation. Getting everybody to switch over to the all-electric vehicle and get rid of those gas guzzlers is very difficult to do. Who's seen that documentary, Who Killed the Electric Car? Starting a car manufacturer is itself difficult enough because there's high capital costs. But starting an all-electric vehicle company, what do you think people told Elon Musk when he went to invest in that company? What's that? High risk. You're crazy. You're crazy. Why would you ever do that? You're throwing your money away. But he did it anyway, because he really cared about that mission, right? How about, who recognizes the car below? Anybody know what that is? Anybody heard of Fisker? What's the difference between Fisker and Tesla Model S? The Fisker Karma and Tesla Model S. Anybody know?
One's successful and one isn't.
Okay, just to sum it up. So the Fisker Karma is a hybrid vehicle. Technically very complex because you have an ICE engine, you have an electric motor, and you have a mechanism to toggle between the two. Technically very complex, But the value of a hybrid, it's actually very low according to the data. Because while the Tesla Model S, an all-electric, solar-powered, solves for climate change, right? Reducing CO2 emissions significantly if it's successful in adoption. But the hybrid, the data shows it's very low impact on climate change. But there's a lower risk, right? Because you don't have to get everybody to figure out where to charge their cars. They could use an existing infrastructure and pump gas into their car whenever the battery runs out. But why on earth then did the riskier option, the 10x, succeed over the one that's risk-free? The incremental solution. What the data is also showing us is that the 10x are more likely to succeed now than the incremental solutions. This is where you can charge your Tesla supercharged in 45 minutes or less in 2016. When they started this in 2008, this didn't exist. When everybody told Elon Musk, "You're crazy. Where are people going to charge their cars?" This is what he was thinking about. 0 to 1. The 10x succeeded while the safe bet failed miserably. Who's heard of SpaceX? SpaceX. What's the mission of SpaceX? Colonize Mars. All right. Hey, everybody, I have a new startup. We plan to colonize Mars. Who wants to invest? I swear it's a good idea. Right? Everybody told him he was crazy. Why on earth, why on Mars, would you want to colonize Mars? So, turns out there's a lot of people that are interested in colonizing Mars. In 2008, this team here, so before you can colonize Mars, you actually have to get there, right? And in order to get there, we need reliable transportation to and from. We don't have that. We didn't have that. We had rockets that we built and spent a lot of money on, and we shot them up, never saw them again. So if you had to drive your car to the grocery store every time, and it blew up, and have to get another car to come back, right? Totally impossible. So it turns out the first step to colonizing Mars and achieving that 10x is to build another 10x, reusable rockets. So in 2008, this team comes together, and they're trying to figure out how to launch a rocket, period. We're not even at the reusable part yet, right? Just figuring out how the heck do we launch a rocket, build and launch a rocket. So they're on their third rocket launch, and up until now, rocket launches 1 and 2 have failed miserably. In fact, they've exploded. Can you imagine your project exploding? What's the worst thing that could possibly happen to your project other than it exploding? So they're on their third rocket launch. They're going to do this, right? In fact, they only have enough money left for a fourth rocket launch. And if that one fails, no more money. All that passion about getting to Mars, done. They won't be able to do it if they can't get this rocket off the ground. So they're on their third rocket launch, second to last chance. And the thing goes up, what happens to it? It blew up too. God damn, can you imagine being on that team? Your third rocket launch blew up, you've got enough money left for one more, you're passionate about getting to Mars. And it's starting to feel like, what? It's not gonna happen? They probably walked away saying to themselves, man, we're just not smart enough. We can't do this. There's probably somebody else out there who can do it better than we can. Is that what they said? As a matter of fact, a former SpaceX employee recalls that Elon Musk came out and he gave such a rousing speech that she said, I think we would have all been willing to follow him to hell with suntan oil after that speech. Who here would follow their manager to hell with suntan oil? Who wants to send their manager to hell with suntan oil? All right, fourth rocket launch. How long do you think it took them from all that miserable failure from number 3 to produce a fourth rocket ready to launch? How long? Take a guess. Don't be afraid. 2 months? 3 years. What else?
6 months.
6 months. Right here. 1 month. Most of our teams can't produce a website in a month, right? Can't get a corporate website up in a month. And these folks right here, they got a rocket ready to go in 1 month. What is that? What does it take to be that team? What happened to rocket number 4? Success. It didn't land. It went up, though. At least it didn't explode on launch. They made it. In fact, a few months later, they secured a NASA funding, and to this day, SpaceX has in fact re-landed a rocket. Back in December, they landed one on ground, and eventually they, after a few tries, landed one on sea. And when one of the rockets on sea, after it landed, tipped over and broke into pieces, Elon Musk tweeted, "At least it broke up into bigger chunks this time." What is that? There is no success or failure, is there? As a matter of fact, Elon Musk and these folks will probably never see the day they colonize Mars. And when they do, it's not like they're going to be like, "Oh, great, everybody, we colonized Mars. You can go home now. Success, we're done." That's not how it works, folks. There's no such thing as failure or success. You can give up. Maybe there's reasons for it. But when you're passionate about pursuing something, something happens. Something different happens. And so what makes a team successful, as it turns out, we don't have to guess, because there's a lot of research that exists today on what makes teams successful. And it turns out when you pursue a 10X, you check off 2 of the most important ingredients, among others. I've listed 4 here for you today. There's a few more, but look at that. A clear, elevating goal, right? Unless you're passionate about that 10X project, colonizing Mars, you're not going to join that team. You got to really want it, right? If you want to go to Venus, go to another team. This is the Mars team, because when the going gets tough, you're probably going to quit unless you feel elevated by the goal and you're committed to it. Checkbox number 2, unified commitment. You're going to attract the people like you who are excited and passionate to be a part of that 10X pursuit. Everybody's going to want it. That's what happens when you get into a 10X. It's really hard to create that with other kinds of projects, right? Another thing is collaborative climate. I'm going to get to that in a second. But it's super important to create the kind of environment people feel good working in and have some psychological safety. And finally, standards of excellence. Don't get me wrong, this is different than perfection, right? You hear that saying, practice makes perfect? It actually doesn't. Practice makes progress, is what it is. And trying to achieve perfection is different than trying to achieve excellence. We want to build something excellent. We don't want to build shoddy rockets, right? We want to build rockets that perform well. So talking about collaborative climates, remember when everybody told Elon Musk and others you're crazy? How about when you were a kid, when you had an idea and everybody told you, "God, that's crazy." No, don't do that. What do you think happens to your ideas every time they're put down by somebody else and then you start putting your own ideas down? The ideas stop coming. That's why when I say to you, go 10X, you're probably thinking to yourself, or start a startup, you're probably thinking to yourself, Katy, I just don't have the idea. The thing is, you have an idea because you have a brain like everybody else, especially the Elon Musks of the world, but you're probably just not used to building on your ideas. And so what we promote is yes and thinking. That is, to build on your ideas. Don't let them slip away. Don't let this notion of like, God, that idea's crazy, people aren't gonna like it, put you down. And don't put down other people's ideas. And that's how you maintain, one of the key ways to maintain a collaborative environment in your teams. So here's this little thing I like to do. Who likes rock, paper, scissors? All right. If you don't like it, you're going to love it after this. I guarantee it. I like to play a little game of rock, paper, scissors with the entire room. So what we're going to do is you're going to turn to the person sitting next to you, and you're going to say, hi, my name is, and you're going to remember that person's name. Really important to remember that person's name. And you're going to play one round of rock, paper, scissors, or until there's a winner. And if you win, you turn to the other person sitting near you that also won, and you play them. But if you lose, your job is to cheer on the person you lost to by name as loud as you possibly can. That's right. No, you're going to do this. And then if they end up losing, the two of you will cheer on the person they lost to, and so on until we have exactly one winner in this room. Go. That was so good. Look at that, Jamie. Big round of applause for Jamie. Yes. Rock, paper, scissors champion. All right. Who loves rock, paper, scissors now? Yeah, what's up? What's up? All right. All right, so what was the point of rock, paper, scissors? Can anybody tell me? Team. What's that? Operation? Oh, collaboration. Yes, yes, collaborations. What else we got? Competition, support, team building, motivation. Thinking on your feet. Support failure. This is great stuff. Positive what? Positive illusion. What's that? Mission. Okay. Good stuff. Good stuff. There's actually no point. I just love rock, paper, scissors. I played you. I'm just kidding. So obviously you're all right. In fact, it's an interesting game because it's a game of chance, though, isn't it? Right? You come up against each other, and there's a chance you're going to win and not. And then at the end, there's a chance you'll be the winner in the room, but it's really still all chance. And so when we're in teams and we come up against each other as we do, really being right or wrong is almost trivial. Because if you insist on being right, and then let's say we played this game and you didn't support each other and you went, you were pissed and you're in the room like, God damn it, why didn't I win rock, paper, scissors? Then the climate in the room wouldn't have been the same, and it wouldn't have been as great to be here. And it's the same thing in a team. If you're so worried about being the winner, first of all, it's chance. Second of all, if you create this climate of like, disappointment or being down and not supporting each other, not doing that yes and, no one's going to be on that team anymore. And then it won't even matter what your 10x is, what you're trying to be right about, because nobody's going to stick around for it. So then maybe this formation that we created today is not really about the hierarchy, because that person at the top wouldn't be there without everybody else. Maybe it's just a formation. If you look at it flat, it's a triangle, the most powerful structural piece in your game. So, listen, folks. The fact is, we don't have a lot of time left on this planet. And as a matter of fact, we've got about 100 years left. Thanks to climate change, we may not be able to live here past the 100 years. So there's a chance there's people here in this room who are going to feel the effects of climate change. There are people today dying from the effects of climate change. Your children will definitely see the effects of climate change and maybe even see the end. Their kids definitely will. There's just not any time left. So enough of the dating apps. Right? We produce all these engineers, scientists, designers, people, smart people, all the people. And yet, despite all that, we still have this massive problem that's going to wipe us all out. Why? Why is that? I know what you're thinking. Katy, you made it through this far in the presentation, and this is your first cat pick? I showed restraint. Look, what do I want from you? What do I want from you? Here's what I want from you. They don't want us to think 10x, so we're going to think 10x, right? I like that. No DJ Khaled fans? I try. Look, pursuing 10x, step 1 to pursuing 10x, anybody take a guess? Just do it. Step 2, as a matter of fact, is also to do it. Look, there are no magical people somewhere that know how to do this better than you. As a matter of fact, through whatever happens in our education experience, we tend to believe there's some smarter, more interesting, creative people out in the world who are going to take care of it for us. We'll just look to get hired or something. That's a fallacy. I'm telling you, there's nobody else who's going to solve this thing if you don't step up. In fact, the problem of climate change, as an example of all the other problems we have, is so massive that we need all hands on deck for this one. We really do. And so at Team Exponent, what we've done is develop a process to just help get it going, like to do it, right? And it's an exponential sprint based off of the design sprint method. What it really is putting people into teams based on some strategic insights and giving them some timed sessions to focus on getting their ideas down, yes-anding themselves, every idea that comes out. And then from that, graphing it on that graph. Remember I showed you that graph in the beginning, value complexity? Graphing it so they can see their ideas on a spectrum and together identify that 10x they want to pursue. At the end of the session, they have a paper prototype of a potential 10x. That's how you get started. Just get your ideas down and take those incremental steps to do it, right? In order to colonize Mars, first I need a reusable rocket. First I need to figure out how to launch a rocket. So first I need to figure out something about rocketry, find some people, or if you're like Elon Musk, you just roll up to Moscow trying to buy one. I don't know. That didn't work out for him. So we're doing these sprints, and some startups started to form, and it was super interesting, right? These are engineers, scientists, designers, project managers, people just excited about solving for the challenge that we have, coming together, sometimes MIT grads. And so I started thinking, I got to come up here, as I do in those sessions, and spend some time convincing everybody to think 10x. Because something happens along the way where we stop doing that, right? We stop thinking big, we stop getting crazy ideas, and we just look for ordinary stuff. But it turns out there's one population I don't have to convince to think big, because they're already big thinkers. So we took the sprint to the kids, K through 12, and you would not believe the outcomes from those sessions. As a matter of fact, we took that exact same sprint that we give to adults, the MIT engineers, to these 5th graders over at PS 290 here in the city. And the stuff they came up with, the solutions they came up with, were on par with the MIT grad students. So the question was, well gosh, are these 5th graders as creative as MIT engineers? Or are MIT engineers as creative as 5th graders? Turns out there's a NASA study that says kids around the age of 4 to 6 or so exhibit genius creativity, right? Creativity on the level of genius at a rate of 98%. That's kids of that age are 98% creative geniuses. That's astonishing. But if you've got kids, you know it's true, right? And believe me, I know it's true after watching them. What happens to that number when we reach adulthood? 2%. What happens in our education system where we lose it? And what would happen to these kids if they kept going on this path, trying to solve big problems with big 10x creativity? What kind of MIT grad students would they be? What kind of problems would they be solving? That's right. So we started developing a curriculum based off of that, which is in development now. It's open source, exponential education, trying to get teachers trained on the sprint process so they can do it in their schools, trying to create self-directed models so that kids can come in and run their own sprints and start solving for big problems because they really, really want to. They really want to, just like you do. As a matter of fact, let me ask you something. This is important. If I'm hiring and I tell you, hi, I'm hiring for this all-electric car company that is trying really hard to solve for climate change and change the way that we transport ourselves. And I'm hiring for this other company that's building these hybrid cars. They're cool, rich people might buy them, don't really solve for anything, but which one do you want to work for? I'm hiring for this corporation that builds dating apps, and I'm hiring for this company that is sending rockets to Mars. Which one do you want to work for? Rockets to Mars. Right? Ask the kids that. Guaranteed. Right? It's human nature is what it is.
Will you get dates if you do the dating app?
We get okay. Well, you know what? You probably get a date if you do the rockets to Mars. Probably more likely. Better dates. So that's one key ingredient to think about. So anyway, what we are actually really doing is shifting the question for the kids from what do you want to be when you grow up, right? This elusive question of like this future self that has to go to this process and get a degree and get permission to work on something from somebody, right? To what problem do you want to solve and what do you want to build now? Because you can. There's no reason to wait till somebody tells you it's okay. As a matter of fact, if anybody here in this room is waiting for permission from somebody to tell them it's okay to be the one to go solve for climate change, I hereby grant you full authority to go out there and solve for climate change. There's nobody else who's going to give you permission but yourself. So these kids need to know that from now. If if you're interested in adult sprint and going through the experience, we'll probably do one later this year in New York. You can sign up if you want to take a picture of the URL. Feel free to do so. It's signup.teamexponent.com. You can find me if you have any questions or you want to ask me anything, whatever. That's my handle across all social media platforms, everywhere, at Gmail. Send me an email. Happy to talk to you about pursuing 10x. And, all right, think 10x. Thank you.
Just 2 words, lunch break. Enjoy. See you later. If you have questions for Katy, I'm sure she will be happy to answer whenever you see her. Thank you.